Arika had never felt a reason to step into the attic until the day the rain leaked through the old roof and forced her to climb up. The attic was dim, filled with dusty trunks and forgotten memories. As she pushed away cobwebs, her eyes fell on a small wooden box with a rusted silver latch. It wasn't labeled, wasn't familiar, and somehow felt out of place among the family belongings. Curiosity tugged at her. The box opened with a reluctant creak, and inside lay a single envelope sealed with old wax. Her breath hitched when she saw her name written in her mother's handwriting. And below it, in small trembling letters, "You were never meant to read this." The air around her thickened. Her heart pounded louder than the rain outside. Something told her this letter held a truth too heavy to belong in this world, yet too important to remain buried. With trembling hands, she broke the seal, unaware that her world was about to change forever. The letter began with a kind of apology that tasted like heartbreak. Her mother confessed that the life Arika had been living, all the memories she held dear, was built upon a hidden truth. The man she grew up calling her father, the man whose stories she repeated with pride, was not her biological father. He had loved her, raised her, protected her, but her real father was someone else. Someone her mother once loved deeply. Someone who didn't know she existed. Arika felt her throat tighten as tears blurred the ink. Every memory she held close began to feel like borrowed pieces from someone else's life. Her mother wrote that she hid the truth out of fear of judgment, fear of losing the people she loved, fear of changing her daughter's life. But she also wrote that the truth could not remain buried forever, even if the letter was never meant to be opened. At the end of the letter was an address, a name, and a final line that shook her soul. "If you ever find the courage, go to him. He deserves to know. And you deserve the truth." Arika spent the night caught between disbelief and grief. Questions stabbed her mind. Why did her mother hide this? What would her father, the one who raised her, think? With every passing hour, the weight of the letter grew heavier. By morning, she made a decision that felt half terrifying, half necessary. She packed a small bag, took the address written in faded ink, and boarded a bus toward a part of the city she had never visited. Every stop brought her closer to a man she had never met. Her heartbeat was uneven, sometimes hopeful, sometimes afraid. What if he rejected her? What if he hated her mother? What if the truth hurt more than the lie? But beneath all the fear was a quiet, stubborn need to know who she really was. Not the version built on silence, but the truth her mother couldn't bring herself to speak. The address led her to a quiet neighborhood lined with old trees. Her hands shook as she approached a small two-storied house with a brass nameplate that read, Arvind S. Rao. She stood frozen, unable to ring the bell. But as fate would have it, the door opened from inside. A man with gentle but tired eyes stepped out, surprised to see her standing there. He looked older than her mother's photograph of him, yet there was something strikingly familiar. His eyes carried the same softness she saw in her own reflection. "Can I help you?" he asked, confusion etched across his face. Arika swallowed hard and whispered, I think you knew my mother." She said her mother's name, and in that instant, the entire world seemed to stop. His face drained of color. His breath caught. He whispered her mother's name again, as if trying to make sure he wasn't dreaming. Then his eyes, those familiar eyes, shook with something deeper than shock. Something like grief. Something like recognition. Inside his living room, silence weighed heavier than words. Arika placed the letter on the table. Arvind read every line slowly, his hands trembling. When he reached the end, he closed his eyes and let out a breath that sounded like 20 years of broken memories. "She left without telling me," he whispered. "I searched for her for months. I thought she didn't love me anymore. I never knew she was carrying a child." Tears rolled down his cheeks, not the tears of a stranger, but the tears of a man who had lost something he didn't know he had. Arika felt her own heart ache. The truth wasn't cruel, it was unfinished. A story cut too early. A love frozen in time. And she was the missing chapter neither of them knew existed. Slowly, hesitantly, Arvind reached for her hand. You are my daughter?" he asked, voice breaking. Arika nodded, her vision blurring. And in that moment, two lives long separated by silence finally touched. The hours that followed were filled with stories of her mother's laughter, their first meeting, the dreams they once shared. Each word healed a part of Arika she didn't know was wounded. She learned that her real father was a gentle man who once wrote poems, who loved rainy days, who planted flowers in memory of her mother long after she was gone. Arvind listened to her stories too, about her childhood, her school, the father she had lost, and how she found the letter by accident. They laughed, they cried, they sat in silence that didn't feel uncomfortable. It felt like something broken was slowly being stitched back together. Before she left that evening, Arvind handed her a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate silver chain, one he had once bought for Mira, hoping to gift it to her on their wedding day. But fate had taken a different turn. Arika held the chain as if holding a piece of the life she never had but always belonged to. Arika returned home. She didn't feel shattered anymore. She felt whole in a way she didn't know she was missing. The truth hadn't destroyed her, it had freed her. She now carried two pasts, one built on love, one built on silence. And she honored both. She visited Arvind often, each time feeling less like a stranger and more like the daughter he had unknowingly waited his entire life to meet. The letter she was never meant to read had rewritten her story, but instead of breaking her, it rebuilt her into someone stronger, braver, and truer to herself. Some truths arrive late, but they arrive exactly when the heart is ready. And for Arika, the letter that wasn't meant for her became the key to everything she needed to become. The week after Elena's unexpected reunion with Liam unfolded with an unusual sense of calm, as if life had finally aligned with a rhythm she didn't know she needed. Her mornings felt lighter, her evenings quieter, and for the first time in years, her heart wasn't protecting itself from every shadow of the past. It was simply open to whatever came next. One Friday evening, as warm golden sunlight filtered across her living room, she received a message from an unknown number. It was Liam. He wrote that he had found something that belonged to her and asked if they could meet. Instead of panic or hesitation, Elena felt only a quiet curiosity. They met at a small riverside cafe, a place untouched by any memory of them. Liam sat by the window, looking humbled by time. Without speaking much, he slid a small velvet pouch toward her. Inside was her mother's silver bracelet, the one she had lost years ago on the very night their relationship collapsed. Liam confessed he had found it when moving out but never had the courage to return it until now. He said he wasn't asking for forgiveness, only hoping to give her the closure she deserved. Holding the bracelet, Elena felt emotion rise within her, not painful like before, but gentle, almost cleansing. She told him he hadn't stolen her peace. She had simply given too much of herself back then, but now she had found everything she once lost. As they parted, there was no heaviness, just quiet gratitude for lessons learned and wounds healed. The city lights shimmered along the river as Elena walked away, realizing that some doors of the past don't close with anger, but with understanding, and sometimes, new doors only open when a person is truly ready to step through them. The next few days moved with a strange softness around Elena, as if life itself was quietly acknowledging how far she had come. Yet something about Liam returning the bracelet kept echoing in her mind, not because she still held feelings for him, but because it reminded her how deeply the past can shape a person without them even realizing it. One rainy evening, while sorting through an old drawer, she discovered the dusty wooden box she hadn't opened in years, the same box where she used to keep letters, memories, and remnants of a younger version of herself. She hesitated, her fingers brushing gently across the lid, before finally opening it. Inside, beneath old movie tickets and forgotten photos, she found a folded paper wrapped in a yellowed envelope. Her heart slowed. It was a letter, written in her mother's handwriting. The date on it shocked her. It was written just weeks before her mother passed away. Elena realized she had never seen this letter before. With trembling hands, she unfolded it. Her mother had written about how proud she was of the woman Elena was becoming, how she hoped her daughter would never lose her gentle heart, and how she wished she could protect her from every heartache the world might bring. But the last lines hit Elena the hardest. If someday life breaks you, remember this: your healing will be stronger than any wound you carry. Tears blurred her vision. It felt as though her mother had reached out from the past to hold her again, to guide her through the storm she had already survived. Closing the letter, Elena felt something inside her shift, an anchor returning, a forgotten strength rising, a reminder that she was never as alone as she once believed. As the rain tapped softly against the window, she whispered a quiet promise to herself. She would live with her heart open, not in fear of the past, but in honor of the love that had shaped her. The night after reading her mother's letter, Elena couldn't sleep. Not because she was troubled, but because something inside her felt newly awakened, like a locked room in her heart had finally been opened after years of silence. The next morning, she walked to the old community library where her mother used to volunteer. She hadn't visited in years. Dusty shelves, wooden floors, and the familiar scent of old books welcomed her like an embrace from the past. As she wandered through the aisles, the librarian, Mrs. Mera, who had known Elena since childhood, recognized her immediately. With a warm smile, she said, "Your mother would be so proud to see you here." That one sentence softened Elena's entire being. Mrs. Mera then reached under the desk and pulled out a small notebook. "I think this belongs to you," she said. Elena opened it carefully. Inside were handwritten notes by her mother, thoughts, tiny poems, pieces of advice, and reflections about raising Elena alone after her father left. One page stood out. "My daughter's courage will one day save her from a darkness she cannot yet imagine." Elena felt a shiver, not from fear, but from the astonishing truth of it. All her heartbreak, pain, and survival had led her here, not to brokenness, but to growth. As she sat by the window reading, golden sunlight spilled across the pages, and she realized something she had never understood before. Her mother had prepared her for strength long before life tested her. Closing the notebook, Elena whispered, "I'm ready now for whatever comes." When she stepped outside, the world felt different, not softer, but clearer, like she could finally see herself fully. Her story was no longer about betrayal or loss. It was about rediscovery, resilience, and the quiet power of love carried across time.